the massive potential that is there. There are all sorts of issues around online voting and so on and so on. But there are ways you can bypass those. You make it non-binding. You make it just like a poll, like a much better survey, like a civic action tool, like petitions that actually do something useful. You can set up sandbox like citizens advisory parliaments where you just get people voting like an MP, learning what voting and responsibility feels like. And the amount of information that you can harness from that process, the wisdom that you guys have, the fact that you're here on a Saturday doing this for fun, and there are millions and millions of people out there who want to participate more as citizens who have no avenue for that. And we're all made to look stupid by referenda and sort of which divide us and just simplify us to a point of almost unbelievable stupidity, no matter which side or whatever you're on. And yet there is a lot more granularity, intelligence. We've got 500,000 healthcare professionals out there who have dedicated their lives to working in the NHS and healthcare, and who aren't allowed to help develop policy or aren't allowed to guide the development of hospitals and public health in the same way that it would be great for them to be able to do. So it's the unfulfilled potential that really bothers me about the whole thing. Screw the politics in Westminster. It's just like, well, help where we can, and you're not letting us. So.
I think someone said here it's hard. It is hard, but 2 points that I wanted to sink in today, which is you are the only country, or we are the only country in Europe that doesn't know at any given time who is in their country. You are the only country in Europe.
Despite being an island.
Yeah, despite being an island, surrounded by water, that does not know at any given time who is here. Baffles me. The reason for that is you didn't want ID cards. I've seen a UK ID card. The technology has been built. The technology is there. The reason for not doing it is, oh no, that's too much an invasion of our privacy. Yet you are the country with the most CCTV cameras. Baffles me. And I love this country to bits, but I lived in France and I lived in Brussels, and I have no problems walking around with an ID card. The only people who don't want ID cards are people who have something to hide. I'm comfortable with walking around with a piece as generally someone that has someone to hide. Also, you're not used to that aside, that last comment aside, it's not different. And one of the reasons we struggle with figuring out what we need to do in the UK is because we don't know at any given time who's on our country.
I think it's in the kind of the point where you said that we as a society were against ID cards, but are almost comfortable walking around and being on camera 1,000 times a day. And you feel like it comes back to citizenship and culture in terms of what we're able to do with technology until the way that our behavior is kind of needs to change. Our behavior needs to change.
ID card has nothing to do with technology. ID card is a piece, my Belgium ID card is a scrappy little piece of paper with a picture attached to it that doesn't say a lot apart from my birthday and a couple of other information, pointless. I think there's a shift in mindset, and there's a whole educational piece around it. We're not teaching people, or we're not having the discussions that we're having here about what we're okay with, what we're comfortable with, where there's the line drawn, who has ID cards, who doesn't. And I think that's, before we even talk about technology, we need to be having these open conversations. Tech, we say it again and again, technology is killing our relationships. That's not true. Everyone's seen the picture of a bus full of people holding up a newspaper and reading it. That hasn't shifted. It's now an iPhone or a tablet or whatever that is that we're looking at. Technology doesn't fundamentally make things worse. It's just a different way of viewing things. People who say that we get all of our news on Facebook and that we hang around with people on Facebook, we get information from people who think like us. Let's not kid ourselves. We go to the pub with people who think like us. There's a reason I pick up the Guardian and I don't pick up the Daily Mail. We make those conscious choices even before technology arrived. So I think to your point, technology is there and we're just missing an opportunity to adopt it because we're so scared of it. And we're missing the real potential from it, from being scared of what could happen.
So you get the fundamental issue where the culture is technophobic?
I don't think we are, because I think we embrace technology in every other aspect of our life.
I don't think
Yeah.
So I work at Entrepreneur First, which helps individuals to start their own companies. I work every day with really bright people who want to use technology to make the world better. Ultimately, that might not be for political aims, but certainly it's for progressive aims, if you like. So I would disagree with that.
Do you feel that is there a deficit in terms of the ability though for movements to respond to what's happening here and organise using tech? So you might have some companies who are doing interesting things in problem solving in a particular sector, like problem solving in finance, like problem solving for the military. But when it comes to actually political organising, that's where maybe there are deficits. Or when it comes to voting or the way that we participate in politics, there appears to be a deficit. So where you have other industries completely just making mind-blowing progress, the space where politics happens, there seems to be a huge gap.
Or even not just in politics. So one of the things that I can tell you about starting a startup is that it's really difficult. Most startups, as we know, fail. And so if that's what's happening in business, or if you're starting a company that's acquired by Facebook or Twitter or Amazon or whatever, I guess that it's not just in politics. I guess I'm not trying to say that there is a deficit. It's also in business as well. So yeah, absolutely right.
The community organising aspect is an interesting one. We're terrible at organising. And I say we in the sort of the grander scale of things. People organise when the stakes are high, you want to win an election. Once you've won the election, you pack up the organising and you leave people to be, which is the biggest mistake you can do. We just helped Emmanuel Macron in France, and he did an incredible campaign. We set up and we gave them all the tools that they needed for their 400 plus legislative candidates. They got elected and they shut everything down and they called it a day. Biggest mistake you can ever do is think that you need to organise to get to where you want to be, and once you're there, and I know that that's something you work on a lot, and once you're there you don't need to listen to your constituents anymore. You don't need to organise people. You were mentioning, knocking on doors. The only time that we hear from politicians is when they need something from you. And I think that's the biggest gap that we need to solve for, is what it means to organise. And we saw this with the incredible movements that we've been seeing across the world. Of what that organising can actually look like. And the biggest advantage of tech is you can organise at a scale and at a pace that we've never ever seen before, for better or for worse.
There's a push and pull on organising. So there's the citizens can organise. Well, often can't. We're often quite crap at it. And a friend often makes a point around the Labour Party. Like, if you want to nationalise railways, and if you think that'll be so damn good, buy a railway. The franchises are up all the time. Buy one, organise it, make it work, show you're awesome, then get power because you've demonstrated that you can deliver civic actions, and then nationalise it. Tick. But there's also the resistance side, because government has a monopoly and power has a monopoly. And I think that's a very different thing around politics that's different from any other kind of organising in tech stuff. If you look at the blockchain tech and fintech in London, the FSA has created a sort of sandbox place. There is sandbox regulation. The government has said, we don't know how this is all going to work and play out. You guys just play there and tell us what you do. And if you break anything, let us know, please, rather than sort of destroy the city. And so there's this, they've acknowledged that there is this exciting potential to do something cool, and legitimizing that sandbox space means that a lot of investors and a lot of people enter that space and experiment and create and do stuff. That hasn't happened in civic tech or in democracy tech. And there is probably a very good and horribly cynical reason for that, which is that it means distributing power to people away from the people who currently have it.
Alec Ross actually said that. Alec Ross, who was Hillary Clinton's senior advisor for innovation a couple of years ago, said the 21st century is the complete wrong time to be a control freak. And it's so true, and it's something that you have to remind yourself day in and day out. This is the wrong time. If you want to try and control your messaging, forget it. Someone else is already controlling. 100, 1,000 people are already controlling it. If you want to control what your end journey looks like, who's going to be elected, forget it. Other people are already controlling that. So I think once we're okay with that, I think then we can start moving forward and going, okay, I've lost control already. What can I do to either regain it or shift it in another direction?
Right now, sorry, I saw a hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, another reason why the government supports the fintech stuff and not the civic tech stuff is because the fintech stuff has a lot of economic promise in the way in which the civic stuff doesn't. And I think one of the challenges for a lot of the people that I've heard today is, how do you monetize this in such a way that it becomes really difficult for government to say no to it? Because if it becomes profitable and a driver for economic growth, then it's something that the government can genuinely get behind, and it doesn't become a charity or a social enterprise, which is very difficult for the kind of government which has the economy in its heart.
I mean, I think that's a brilliant point in the sense that we have seen different kind of smaller startups come up. We haven't seen them really scale up and show that this is a huge I mean, just wanted to, so what's your name?
Craig.
Wanted to Craig.
One point to that. I know how you monetize it because I work in a business that monetizes it. We work with all of the UK political parties, we work with both sides of Brexit, we did 7 French presidential election. But there's another point there, is I know you can save money. More taxpayer money has been spent on failed technology attempts by politicians than going to war, including failed wars. More taxpayer money has gone into failed tech, whatever you want to call them, programs within government than going to war.
Sorry, what do you call failure?
Of what? Of failed attempts. ID cards is one of them. They spent an enormous amount of money building ID cards, building the machinery, the system around it, and the whole infrastructure. The technology can be the hard technology, the infrastructure can be the software, everything around it. If you want the person to quote from that is a guy called David Runciman, who wrote a book called Politics in 2014. Incredible book if you're interested in the correlation or the relationship between tech and politics. He has 3 chapters in his book. One of the chapters is on technology. That's absolutely brilliant. And the reason for that is politicians are not technologists and technologists are not politicians. But you mentioned it earlier on, there is a huge need to fill the gap, actually talking to each other. We're not asking politicians to be technologists.
And I dare to say both are not designers.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. That's brilliant, yes.
Don't we want the government to take more risk? At least, a more manageable, so, not like hundreds of millions of pounds on one small thing, but more risk on projects like we're talking about?
Craig was mentioning the fact that government don't take risks on enterprises. Business models which engage with civil society but also turn profit. Is there an element to the way we as society approach politicians which is very aggressively kind of condemning if they get it wrong, to the point that they don't take the risk or they don't like being criticized? For instance, an idea I've had is it would be great to have a social advertising platform on the underground. And that platform could literally just promote social causes, social entrepreneurship, all those things that kind of build with social capital. But if I suggested that, if I suggested that to the right people, despite the fact that it would be so public it could turn into a consultancy firm or whatever, on top of everything else, or a recruitment agency, I feel that because it would potentially expose the deficiencies of government or central government, they wouldn't necessarily encourage it because they have a fear of their public persona being discredited.
Yeah.
Why do you think it would discredit politicians? Because you think it would show that they're not doing all these things?
Yeah, because people are looking to make the most of their time and to be most effective and stuff like that without taking consideration of you have to get things wrong to get things right, or there's kind of, I have all the answers and that's why I'm in this position, so I have an approach which is honest and inquisitive enough to want to find out what those answers are instead. And I think people want politicians and expect politicians to have kind of unhuman element, which means that they aren't open and receptive to that.
I would argue that's actually more of a, I'm going to put UK still in Europe, but that's a European thing, because we're not taught in Europe that failures are okay. I mean, I went through all of my university, college years with my parents saying, can't fail. If you fail, it's bad. Whereas in the US, they've embraced failure, maybe too much of an extreme. Yeah, give me 5 million and if it fails, I mean, there's a balance to have, although I don't like that word, but there's something to say for that. I actually think it's less of a, we do hold politicians to a very high regard and high standards, sometimes not obtainable. I actually think it's more of a European thing, that we're just, as a continent, just not okay with failure.
So I wonder if I've lost a point about the monetization. Since we're talking about a common good, I don't want to monetize the NHS, I don't want to monetize public education, I don't want to monetize public parks. Why would we want to monetize this, which is a public and a common good?
What's this?
This political technology, right? I'm kind of apprehensive about.
My interpretation of the question was always really about how do we get the investment in these kinds of technologies
So efficiency
for it to scale up. That was my interpretation. I'm not sure. That's what you meant.
So are we looking at efficiencies then? Or saving money or?
And accessibility.
And putting money in the right place.
Okay, but no, okay, because I confuse monetizing with profits and,
Yeah.
right.
It's about sustainability
Yeah.
ultimately. It doesn't require a constant injection from central government, because then you're at the whim of central government to continue funding you. And so is there a way of kind of extracting what you do out of that kind of circle of begging bowl, really? And I think that's really important. And just to respond to the guy at the front there talking about kind of perhaps politics and government being a barrier to the creation of some of these things. Do you know the government mechanisms to support new business in particular is at arm's length from politicians, and politicians have zero say in what is funded ultimately by a lot of the government mechanisms.
Maybe I'm using the example that if I use the London Underground, I'd have to go to TfL, and TfL is the London Underground,
Yeah.
City Khan is the chair of that. So that is interlinked, and that wouldn't allow, well, it might allow it, maybe it's a misgiving in mind, but it just feels more.
I think the government mechanisms though are very much geared towards economic growth as opposed to social good. If you have an idea that brings a lot of social good, if you can frame it from the perspective of economic growth, then you have a real good chance of getting that funding.
It's the platform as well, though, because it's a very
Can I ask? Is there any political technology at the moment that people are using that they think is particularly impressive or made a disruptive market?
I've seen several people using the main political technology of our time around me today. I mean, we're kind of missing the gigantic point that we already have a number of highly entrenched, highly self-sustaining, highly monetized political technologies in the form of overwhelmingly Facebook and
But it comes back to the point that Natalie was talking about in terms of who owns it and therefore what is the capacity and limitations of that. Now, I mean, the difficulty that a lot of people say, like I said earlier, I want to create the activism version of Facebook, which, as you say, is Facebook. But then there are limitations in terms of to what extent then we were trusted for certain things. So a lot of people I know have deactivated at some point, or Facebook says, if you want that in your phone now, read your contact on people like, well, actually, your messenger, now they can't see the message on their phone. So I mean, these become other challenges then in terms of how it evolved to deal with kind of social problems that we wanted to do, or just things like voting. So, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to come in on that because I think the key thing we haven't talked about today enough is the whole question of how, as citizens, we manage to get control of our own personal data back again. And I think that's a really interesting question, both political but also technological, because that's really at the core of it. You know, 10 years ago we made a pact with the devil where we allowed Facebook and Google and these large corporations to essentially take our data and monetize it. And how do we get that control back? And then also make that data available in a conglomerated way for citizens' purposes, like using that big data to develop new health solutions or whatever. And I'm really interested in that. I mean, obviously the blockchain made that role in it, but I think that's something we haven't talked about.
Have you asked Google, Facebook, Twitter for your data?
I wrote to Facebook and Google many years ago to ask for a share of their revenue.
But if you ask today, you will get it. And that's GDPR compliance coming into play next year.
Certainly understand that, but we haven't worked, there is a way. The question is, it's no use unless we have a way where all citizens can do that and make the data available.
And understand the data, because I think
Actually, I think there's a total misunderstanding all the time. I hear all the time, we need to get control back over our data, we need to do that. Data is free, honestly. There are books like Who Owns the Future and things like that that try to monetize data, and I think it's an interesting approach. But as such, data is free. It's what you do with the data that you need to get control over. What you produce, who you are, you shed it all the time. There's no way we can control it ever, or even try to monetize it or do anything with it. But if we need to find ways to control what people do with the information and have transparency on that, that's it. But the data itself doesn't mean anything. Zero. No.
A lot of this is about the conflict between the individual and the collective. And the conversation with data goes back to the same thing. And the modern idea of the individual only really happened after the Industrial Revolution. We now the wheel is turning again, and we're getting the stage as to what extent do we give up our individuality and our privacy for security, for better healthcare, for a system of governance that works better and more efficiently, all of which should be possible in the data age. But there's a cost, and the cost is, firstly, we've got to create the institutions to run that properly, and also we've got to be willing to give up our privacy.
And education. We're not educating people. People think Google is free. Sure as hell isn't. You're paying with your data. I don't know if anyone saw it here. There was a security company that did a pop-up shop last month in East London where you could buy really well-known painters, paintings and art. They were selling a whole bunch of stuff from this artist, and you paid with your data. So if you walked in and you would say, I want the painting on the wall, and they would say, sure, give me your phone, I'll take 3 pictures out of your phone now, and that's how you'll pay for it. Interestingly enough, people walked in thinking they were very okay with giving away their data sets,